Right, welcome back to the program. You're still watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Here's a quick reminder. You can join the conversation on the go by joining our YouTube and Facebook live stream. You can also do so by heading over to our website, trusttv.com, so you don't miss out on the conversation. All right, let's talk about the Ecowas region and what apparently is becoming increasingly inevitable. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have doubled down. They're not going back on their promise, or on their pledge rather, to leave the regional entity that is ECOWAS. Bringing into the conversation now to help us navigate some of those issues is veteran diplomat and our foremost international affairs analyst, Ambassador Haruna Warkani, is joining the conversation this evening. It's good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics.
Thank you.
We've had a conversation about this when ECOWAS decided to announce that by January 2025, obviously looking at the provisions of the treaty, that formal notice will elapse, and then officially Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger will be no longer members. However, there was a caveat. Up until July, they're willing to extend the negotiation period. And the Alliance of the Sahel came back with a very strong message. Don't worry about it. We're not even rethinking our decision of leaving. What is your reaction to their response?
Well, thank you, viewers, for having me here again and meeting on this platform. The fact is, these Sahel states, by July last year, when they decided to exit ECOWAS, they didn't give notice. They simply say they are gone. It's not as if they gave notice to enable ECOWAS reassess itself and say okay or not, or follow the protocols. What one expected is that the treaty, as provided for exit of members, would have been such that yes, there is a period for notice, there's a period for reconsideration, and the rest of them. These Sahel states came forward and said they have left. They didn't say they are giving notice.
With immediate effect.
They have left, and with immediate effect. And in their communique, they were very, very clear why they were leaving, including the threat of invasion, particularly of Niger. Now, you could see clearly ECOWAS mistook steps, very wrong steps, as of that time, because I think what we can easily say would have been politicians were nervous that there are military coups going around the sub-region. Perhaps it could be mine next. And so in a panic mode, they pressed the wrong buttons and got the wrong steps or actions, which resulted into this sharp division within the community. Now, having left, they never had any inkling of that they are coming back here. I remember you asked me almost the same question here. Would they come back? I said no, they are not coming back, because if you look at the reasons they gave, the reasons are very fundamental, very deep, and very wide. And it will be difficult for you to imagine whatsoever. Now, today, ECOWAS is the one extending a period of reconsideration. Unfortunately, these member states have gone too far ahead. Remember, they just launched their passport, which means they have exited from the harmonized ECOWAS passport system. They are looking at their currency. They are looking at a defense pact that involves all the three countries, which means a confederation, which they have announced. Now, it means attacking one country means attacking all of them.
They've become sort of like the Three Musketeers now.
Very good.
All now, for one, one for all.
Very good. Now, they rejected this extension with a very, very good reason. And that reason is the reason of existentialism. They are afraid ECOWAS might use the 6 months extension and allow perhaps change of government in these places. If they refuse to come back, there may be need to change the governments there. That could be the only option left to bring them back into the fold. And they are very nervous, therefore. You could see there is already very heightened military activity in the three states. All the armies are on high alert. because they have credible information through intelligence that there may be need and plans to overthrow them.
But has ECOWAS not been cautious since July last year? I mean, there was the threat of an invasion, but they walked back significantly, sending the current president of Senegal, Diomaye Faye, to negotiate, who appears to be a lot more sympathetic to the cause of the alliance members. I mean, wouldn't you say that by the book, ECOWAS has been not only considerate but diplomatic in its engagement with the Three Musketeers?
Well, we pleaded here that ECOWAS need to take a little more diplomatic steps, both overt and covert, to see how best to assuage these feelings and see how they can come back. Yes, Diomaye Faye had been going around when he was sworn in. However, as you can see, one of the fundamental reasons for the exit of these Three Musketeers, like you said, has been the influence of colonial France in the sub-region. And that's why they have decided that France must leave. France has effectively left, except the impact of having been there for centuries, let's say. Now, unfortunately for ECOWAS, Senegal itself has also asked France to leave, which is a clear sign that even the envoy who went around the Three Musketeers has also joined them, technically. Chad, that is also a neighbor of ECOWAS, though not a member, but a neighbor.
A close neighbor. Right.
Very good. Has also asked France to leave. Gabon has given notice to France to leave his country. Now, unfortunately for ECOWAS and Nigeria, in this case, we need to desegregate the two. ECOWAS' position and Nigeria's position, a very delicate balance, because since Nigeria is in the chair, it becomes a bit tenuous to see whatever happens. Now, if Nigeria is courting France the more, that is what is giving these three countries even more concern that perhaps why would we be rejecting France and our big brother Nigeria is courting France of late? How come such events are happening? So you can see how Niger particularly has reacted. One, they have given notice to our embassy in Niamey. The ambassador needs to come, he needs to be advised. They want to find out what is this new relationship between Nigeria and France.
Yeah, and talk to me about that, because it appears that while on one hand diplomatic action is not yielding the right result, we're seeing some sort of escalation, because the alliance has also accused ECOWAS of undermining the security in these three countries. So it's not just to say we don't want to have a relationship with you anymore, it's becoming a frosty relationship where they're accusing ECOWAS of undermining their security in the region.
Indeed, it's very clear, because the body language of ECOWAS as a body, and unfortunately, ECOWAS office of the chairman of authority, that happens to be Nigeria, seems to point to the fact that yes, they must be uncomfortable with what is going on, because I cannot declare so person A as my enemy and then quickly you embrace the same person and say, come, be my new friend. It sends a very delicate message, which is very, very unfortunate, because no matter what it is, I think the office of the chair of ECOWAS ought to have done some little more strategic thinking and action than what has happened so far, because now we gave Niger a feeling that our big brother, a little south, is behaving in a way that we cannot be comfortable. And I mean, just recently, Niger was almost at the point of saying they might need to build a wall between the two countries. Something that is unthinkable, because across these borders, there is truly no border between Nigeria and Niger.
Right.
But they are now thinking at the extreme to say, perhaps we need to fence off. Two, Chadian government, through the president of that country, has clearly indicated that fighting Boko Haram in the north has become very difficult. He no longer trusts Nigeria because obviously it's like Nigeria is complicit in financing support or in action towards Boko Haram. And you remember, he himself had to go to the war front just to see that he secures his country. And he's now also thinking, how do I distance myself from Nigeria, a country that you have enjoyed a relationship beyond measure for all this while? Then suddenly things are just turning upside down. So I think Nigeria needs to manage its relationship within Ecowas better than what it is now. And then Ecowas needs to understand clearly that what is going on is a very bad reaction to a lot of inaction in Ecowas. Because when bad governance becomes key, it elicits some of these reactions we are seeing today,
right,
which we need to minimize.
So, I mean, we have to talk about the future because one way or the other, it does matter, right? The fate of the bloc itself and the member states who are now down to 12. Give me a sense of what could come next. What kind of relationship can Nigeria or ECOWAS as a bloc have with the alliance of the Sahelian states going forward if the status quo doesn't change?
Well, the status quo changing, I don't see it, except if there are some untoward changes in governance in these Sahel states. Otherwise, as long as these young men remain leaders and driving the countries the way they are doing now, the citizenry are very, very happy with what is going on. It might be difficult. Security-wise, there are challenges that are quite overwhelming, but I think they are also taking care of some of those things. And the ECOWAS might find itself really on a very precarious position as it is now going forward, because now that Senegal has effectively asked France to go, the implication is, you know, the headquarters of the Bank for Central West Africa is in Senegal. If you ask France to go, technically, it means even the headquarters of that bank, which manages the CFA, being the currency of the Francophone countries in West Africa, would have some implications. And we need to look at what is going to happen very soon, because that will portend a lot more than what we see. Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, and Benin are not as stable and safe as it would seem on the surface. So there are still developments that are simmering underground, which might result into some of them joining the Sahel states, further denuding the total number of membership of ECOWAS. Right. That's a very, very stark reality that ECOWAS needs to do everything. And I think that is one of the reasons why they extended this by 6 months without any prompting, without any asking. You cannot, somebody who told you, me, I have gone, you are telling him you have 6 months to, I mean, it's a bit one kind. Now, right, within the next few moments, staffing at the Commission and its agencies across West Africa is going to have like a turmoil, because the member states staff from these Sahel states will need to go home. Some institutions that are harbored in these member states will need to close down and be effectively dismantled, which means plenty of things for ECOWAS to do. There will also be need for reconciliation of accounts on both sides.
Right.
Good. So these are things that we cannot avoid for now. This 6 month period perhaps will be enough to work out all these details, and then everybody goes his way.
But what is, I mean, as a last question, what is your sense of what's going on right now behind the scenes? Are they still having a conversation with Diomaye Faye and the rest of the ECOWAS negotiation team, or is the window of communication closed?
No, window is open. However, the quality and type of conversation is a bit complicated, because like we said, Diomaye Faye himself has asked France, close your base, military base, and go. So effectively, even the influence of France is getting waned within the sub-region. It used to be such that if France wanted anything, right, it just come to ECOWAS and say, this is what I want, and it is done. Right. However, that I think is waning, And there are more countries that are following suit.
Right.
And I think ECOWAS may have much more challenges sincerely going forward. So let us say, as citizens of the sub-region, it is only prayers.
Okay.
Yes.
That is a very grim or bleak analysis on the future of one of the most promising blocs in Africa, to say the least. But of course, it has been a long time coming for the most part, because ECOWAS has been less than fit for purpose for the most part, a lot of people have said over the past couple of years. Ambassador Warkani, as always, a pleasure for having you join us on the program tonight. Thank you so much for the analysis and for your insight. We do appreciate you for stopping by tonight.
Thank you so much, viewers, and thank you for having me.
Right. Okay, that's our program for you tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us on Daily Politics. We'll be back tomorrow live at 8 p.m. exclusive as always on Trust TV. Until next time, my name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time and good evening.